Second way of doing window rebates, we look at this side profile of the foundation. So let's just say that our window or door opening is 950 millimetres wide and it needs a 45 millimetre deep rebate or deeper. So what we do is we make the mark where our window is, and then we put our first bit of formwork across to the mark, stop it. Obviously what we're going to see here is our H-section joiner. Then we're going to see our piece which our rebate's sitting in. So if I show you this is a piece of formwork here, and I've basically measured down 45 millimetres and I've run it through the rip saw and taken the top off it, okay? So what that means is it's basically taken the top rail of our product out, so now we've only got the bottom rail, and what we're looking at doing is, as you can imagine, that will sit in the gap, then our window rebate will sit on that product, and then we'll use some face-mounted brackets which will screw into the rebate and then screw into our product, which we'll show you on the next clip. But what's important here is focusing on the fact that we've only got one rail. So because we've got one rail, it's a slightly different way that we're going to set up our stirrups. So take our two slots, two stirrups. So basically we've got our two ringed widgets and then our two standard widgets that our stirrups lock in. So if we start by sliding in our standard widget, locking that in, take the first ringed widget, slide that in now. That's going to pick up the middle so we can still tie back to the mesh. Taking our second widget, okay, breaking the additional widget off there. Okay, so now we're going to take our last ringed widget, we're going to put that in the end here. So that gives us a widget here, and there'll be a widget on the other side of the board, so there's a widget each side of the joint. Taking the spare widget, putting that at the end here. So what we're looking at is you've got a widget here on one side of the joiner, you've got a widget, on this side you'll have a widget, stirrup widget in the middle, stirrup widget in the middle. So even with that single rail, we can still put our widgets that will fix back to the mesh, so we've still got maximum strength. Once we clip that board in, obviously we take our timber, put it on the top, face mount it, and that will create a window rebate. After the concrete goes off, we'll remove our brackets, remove the timber, and then we've got our rebate. So what I'll do now is I'll put this together, we'll show you what it looks like, and I'll take you through the little details on it. As you can see, we've now finished it. So we've got our window rebate, which is flush with a 305mm shutter. We've ripped the top off the formwork, 45mm for the deep depth of that rebate. And then we've used some cleats to screw into the rebate itself. And then we've just used some self-tapper tech screws which actually go through the foam board and through the aluminium, which gives it maximum strength. And then if you look on the other side here, you'll notice that with our singular rail, we've still got a widget underneath here. That widget can still tie back up to the mesh. A widget here that will tie back up to the mesh, and then a widget that's hiding under there that will tie back to the mesh. And then each side of the join we've also got a widget. So maximum strength there, because there's a join here and a join here, it is a weak spot. So it's very important to have a widget each side of that join when you're doing those deep rebates. So as you can see, nice and tidy. Once we remove those tech screws and remove those cleats, then we can remove that window rebate. One more important to note with these joiners, when we rip our board down, feel free to cut however deep the window rebate is. If you just cut your joiner down, so you take your standard joiner, I've just cut 45mm off the joiner on the drop saw, and that's how I've got a nice finish here with no joiner impeding on that window rebate, okay?